Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the final college football regular season Saturday of the year. It's always a bittersweet moment, but I was watching the Ohio State game. That was an impressive performance. It was the running ability, time of possession, ball control, and it even started snowing. It didn't matter. It didn't even matter with the snow. So, yeah, you're talking about the play with Barham headbutting the official. Strange moment. I don't think he really headbutted him. He like lightly tapped him. Ohio State first to win in your YouTube career. Yeah, I mean Ohio State's lost to Michigan a bunch of times, and then they had the COVID thing, so it's been like 6 straight years they haven't won. Are they still undefeated against the spread? No, they're not. I think they're like 11-1-1 or 10-2, depending on what you look at. But they are still actually very good against the spread. They covered again. I think pretty much, well, none of the normie people had Ohio State covering against the spread. Everyone thought that Michigan would cover or outright win just because of the previous years. When do you begin college basketball coverage? I don't do much college basketball coverage honestly until normally only in March or maybe February. But there's just not a lot of there's not a big enough fan base for college basketball, I would say, if I'm going to be honest about that. You think the old World Trade Center had the best sky deck in the world? Yeah, I mean it'd be probably up there. I mean it's rare to have a sky deck that's open that's 100 on top of a 110-story skyscraper. Are you a Michigan fan and a Notre Dame fan? No. You worried about the Ohio State pass rush against Indiana offense? I mean Indiana. It's hard to really. It's hard to. I don't really know what to make of Indiana honestly. They're just they haven't really faced anyone recently. So I mean they have a talented team. They haven't really been throwing the ball though. Will you do another bowl predictions? That's Yeah, I'll probably do bowl predictions. It's a lot of bowl games, but probably bowl games are hard to predict just because of the opt outs and things like that. Auburn or Bama tonight, Lane Kiffin prediction. I think Bama wins. I think Bama wins probably in a close game, but I don't know, man. After seeing that Ohio State game, maybe Bama pulls away against Auburn. I mean, Bama's better than Auburn. Obviously, with the rivalry, you don't know, but Bama is just better. Lane Kiffin, probably LSU. I don't know, man. That Lane Kiffin thing is really bad. It's really bad for the sport. I don't know what he's gonna do. I think I know what he's gonna do, but I just don't know the timing of it. Now they're saying it's gonna take another few days. They're saying he's waiting another day or something, but I heard a decision was coming tonight, so I don't know. Is Stark right about being penalized for scheduling the tough non-conference game against Ohio State? I don't think so. I think if you look at Texas's non-conference schedule, their non-conference schedule was not good. Like I get they faced Ohio State, but they had three other non-conference games against group of five teams. So that's very weak. They actually I think they faced one FCS team maybe or a team that used to be an FCS. So their overall schedule was not good at all. So I don't know. I mean, I understand they're pissed off. Like maybe if they would have scheduled Michigan or someone else, they would have beaten Michigan. But obviously, people are going to say you lose to Florida. It's gonna be very hard for them to make it. Could Notre Dame play Texas Tech in the first round? I think it's doubtful. Notre Dame versus Texas Tech doesn't really the seeding doesn't align. Notre Dame's probably going to be an 8 or a 9 seed if I had to guess. Yeah, that was a dominant performance from Ohio State for sure. Smith and Tate didn't even look injured. Yeah, it might have been a rest thing. I think it was probably a rest thing if I had to guess with Smith and Tate, because they really weren't in. They didn't seem like they were limping at all. So they were just resting them for the game. I mean, they probably had like minor injuries, but yeah, that's another thing is Michigan got zero pressure. And I'm surprised Sane didn't rip the ball down the field more often because there were several times where Michigan was blitzing and there was no pressure with a blitz. So you think there should be guys open downfield. But Sane completed the two longer passes, and that's pretty much all they needed. They really didn't throw much in the fourth quarter at all because they were just running the ball the entire time. Who is more deserving Notre Dame's current playoff spot? Or after Miami's dominant win. Yeah, I think Notre Dame is more deserving, honestly, than Miami. But I understand people are gonna be pissed off because Miami has the head-to-head. I just think Notre Dame is better than Miami. You have to understand, Miami won that game at home. If it's a neutral site game, it's probably a different story. When you're judging teams, you have to take home field advantage into account. But Miami might end up making it anyways, depending on what happens with the ACC. I don't know. Getting tired of the it should have been a touchback BS. Possession is not immediate, lost as soon as the ball carrier begins to bobble it. Yeah, that was a weird play, man. I think it probably should have been a touchback. The thing is, it doesn't really matter because they bludgeoned them so bad. I don't even think Michigan fans can even talk shit about that because it was a blowout. If the game had been closer, I'm sure they would have. But that's just an insane thing where, it looks like a surefire touchdown, and that's that touchback rule. That's so insane. I mean, I think you could have ruled it a touchback, unfortunately, but they didn't end up doing it. So would Oklahoma be knocked out of the playoffs? Yeah, Oklahoma would be out if they lost. They have a bad. I think Oklahoma will win. They have a bad offense, though. I don't think Oklahoma's going to do anything in the playoffs. They have to be in the playoffs though because they beat Alabama. So how do you keep them out? I mean, and also in all fairness, they do have a good strength of schedule, Oklahoma. But I don't think anyone really thinks Oklahoma's all that great. Underwood had less touchdowns freshman year than Raiola, Dante Moore, and yeah, but it was kind of weird. I think Underwood's still talented, but they kind of got screwed by the snow. Like you think Michigan would be helped by the snow? They had to throw the ball in the fourth quarter. There was snow accumulation. They could basically had no footing. The problem with Underwood is he has no touch. I mean, he'll throw the ball 300 miles per hour, and it's a screen pass or it's a pass to the running back. He had like 5 or 6 of those today where he would throw the ball extremely just with a lot of zip on it, and it's like a 6-yard pass. There's not a high chance of that being completed. Then it actually became a weather problem in the fourth quarter when they had to throw and the ball was slipping. And they also, I mean, then Ohio State started getting pressure on Michigan. Why didn't Sharon Moore let Bryce Underwood throw? Well, they were just ball controlled to death, man. They got ball controlled to death by Ohio State in the second half. They barely had the ball. But yeah, I agree. I think there was a few drives where they should have been way more aggressive. It set up Underwood in third and long situations. They kept running it. Jordan Marshall was injured the entire game. I don't know why they kept trying to play him. He could barely even play with that shoulder. Your thoughts on there being a Big 12 bias in the playoff committee? You mean against the Big 12, like a bias against the Big 12? I don't think there's a bias against the Big 12. I just think the Big 12 is just not that great of a conference because they lost their two best teams. It's unfortunate, but that's kind of how conference realignment works. Miami played no, yeah, but they played them in week one. I mean, you got to have context to that. You really that's the whole idea, bro. Like, why even have a committee if you just take, oh, they beat them, so they're better. If the teams have the same record and one team has way better overall metrics and they lost by 3 points in week one, I mean, so would A&M drop below Texas Tech? I think that's what would happen if Texas Tech wins their conference championship. I think Texas Tech then would be 12-1. A&M would be 11-1 with no great wins outside of the Notre Dame win. But then Texas Tech would have their conference title. But so then Texas Tech would go to 4. A&M would go, I don't know where A&M would go, probably to 6. But it depends what happens in the SEC. Got to close this. Why did James Franklin take the Virginia Tech job over the Florida job? Personal fit. He probably liked the fit of Virginia Tech, not as much pressure, easier conference. He's already getting a ton of money from that buyout with PSU. So the Heisman comes down to the Battle of the Big Ten Championship game. I don't know what the Heisman comes down to. I think it's a really bad year for the Heisman. I don't think really either Sayin or Mendoza should win it. But then who else is going to win it? Jeremiah Love? Like how Jeremiah Love only has like 1,300 rushing yards. I don't know how Jeremiah Love wins it. So, I mean, I guess that's true. But I don't think Mendoza or Sayin have great stats either. Do you think Georgia would beat Bama in a rematch? Yeah, I do. I do. I think that game was pretty fluky. The first game, Bama was like they were like 14-19 on third downs. That was a close game. I mean, it was at Georgia and Bama won, so BYU is at number 11. They're still out of the picture unless they beat Texas Tech. Yeah, but BYU has no good wins. That's the problem for BYU. They have a really weak schedule. Like that's the issue. If you look at the I don't know where this is. Maybe in no, it's not even in here. Football Power Index. The problem for BYU is oh, I guess they're 28th in terms of schedule. The problem for them, I guess, is game control. FPI is 15th. I mean, that's well outside the top 12 at 15. The Quins, I mean, let's see their best win. Who is their best win? I guess Utah's their best win by 3 points. Outside of that, they got this game. We'll see if they can win this game. They don't even have a point spread for it. Yeah, I think Texas Tech's going to be big favorites in this game. Or maybe medium-sized favorites. Thoughts on Trump declaring Venezuela a no-fly zone? I don't know about that, honestly, man. I mean, I just think that he probably shouldn't be doing that. He probably should stay out of the foreign issues. It's kind of ridiculous because it's just it's not going to really ever. No, there's no way the general public is going to be on board with involvement in Venezuela. You know, that's not even if they go in and they complete something. It's going to be messy. It's going to be time consuming. It's going to be, you know, it's going to take some amount of resource to do it. So, is it really worth it? I think he wants this kind of global, or this kind of just he wants to complete these campaigns in other countries, and it's just kind of hindering the overall message from what he wants. They're convoluting his message into like this foreign administration, like oh he doesn't care about Americans, he doesn't care about domestic stuff. And now this is just a Venezuelan situation that's been kicked up by the administration. I don't see how the juice is worth the squeeze. I mean, I guess it's like, are we really gonna say it's for oil like they did in the '90s? Just don't think that's a good idea, honestly. But yeah, no, I think the Heisman's in a really weird spot. I mean, you could look at the Heisman and or look at the betting. Where is it? Um, Let me see if I can find the Heisman. It's probably on here. Yeah, really, it is. It's basically tied. Hilarious. Love is that. So these are the top three. There's nobody else. There's no one else. And so I would say, dude, really, if Mendoza beats Ohio State, I'll say, okay, maybe he deserves it. If he beats Ohio State, throws 3 or 4 touchdown passes, then you could argue, all right, he deserves it. That's fine. If Sayan wins, does Sayan really deserve the Heisman? I don't think he really does. But even Mendoza, I mean, if it was a better year for the Heisman, I don't think he'd be anywhere near the leader. Because that team really has been running the ball the entire, like the last 3 games. They barely throw it now. Indiana, I mean, they're gonna need to throw it against Ohio State. But yeah, see, Sayan beats Michigan, and so it's basically like a toss up now again. Do you agree the substitute coach was better than Sharon Moore? No, I mean, you can't bring in a coach for 2 games and then say he's better. I don't think Sharon Moore is that great of a coach. Like, that's the thing with Michigan fans that I really don't understand. Now, obviously, it's tough because there's all these coaching changes and there's really no great coaches available if because they're going through all these changes and there's all these jobs. But, Michigan really didn't pick Sharon Moore. He was basically gift wrapped the job because nobody was going to take the Michigan coaching job. Harbaugh fled to the NFL. They were facing all these sanctions and whatever. They couldn't really hire anyone from outside because they didn't know what was going to happen to the program. Now that all of that is done, Michigan really needs to go out and get a real coach. And that's probably going to take them another year to figure out. But I think Sharon Moore is a coordinator. He should not be the coach of a top program. And he was only given the Michigan job because they couldn't really give it to anyone else because the program was an influx because Harbaugh fled to the NFL. So who's going to take that job when the team is facing these sanctions or getting bowl banned or reduced scholarships or something like that? Who are you taking for the Natty, Ohio State or the field? I think you got to take the field. I mean, I think Ohio State's really good, but I don't really think Ohio State is to the dominant point of like, oh, they're just going to run through everyone. Like, there's a game script where Ohio State could lose. It may be beneficial for Ohio State to lose against Indiana. I know people don't want to hear that, but like sometimes you want to suffer a loss, and it's better that way. Barely throw 300 yards, 4 touchdowns against Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, like 3 out of the last 4 games, they barely thrown. Like, what do you want me to say? They threw like 15 passes against Purdue. I mean, his stats are mediocre for a Heisman winner. If you want me to sugarcoat it for you, I can. But and he didn't even play that good against Oregon. If you look at his numbers, that was a defensive performance by. Wasn't that a pick six or by Indiana? Are you doing a political live stream tonight? Probably not, man. So who do you think it looks like for Michigan the rest of the season? So what do you think it looks like? What do you mean? Michigan only has 1 game left. They have a bowl game. They're done. Michigan has probably a decent bowl they're going to play in. And I'm sure it's good reps for Underwood and the younger players. I don't know who they'll face. Probably they'll face Texas, maybe. Maybe they'll face Texas. Maybe they'll face or Utah. I'm trying to think of the top teams that aren't going to make the playoff. They'll probably face Texas or Utah in a bowl game if I had to guess for Michigan. I'm sure there's bowl predictions. Dark horse pick to win the Natty. I don't think it's really a dark horse, but I think Notre Dame's a really good team. They haven't beaten anyone, but I think they're a really good team. It wouldn't surprise me if Notre Dame won the Natty this year, even as an 8 seed. Like, this is the thing with Notre Dame. They're the number 3 team, and when you look at the FPI, and they're going to be ranked 8th or ninth. I mean, that's a discrepancy. It's like Ohio State last year. Ohio State was like the number 3 or number 4 team, and according to FPI, they were ranked 8th in the final rankings. And then whoever gets the number 1 seed is going to have to face Notre Dame in the second round. That's what I would try and avoid if I was the committee. I would bump Notre Dame up a little bit, but I don't think they're going to do that because the people are saying Notre Dame shouldn't even make it. because, they don't have any great wins. But yeah, Oregon, I think, is going to win for sure. Man, Oregon looks good, don't they? Nice defensive performance for Oregon. What are the three teams that you could see win the Natty? I mean, I could see a lot of these teams win the Natty, honestly, because it kind of seems like it's a level field to me. So a lot of these teams could win the Natty. I don't think Bama can win the Natty because I don't think they can run the ball at all. If you can't run the ball, it's like Georgia. I guess there's a path for them to win the Natty. I don't think Texas Tech is going to win the Natty. I think Indiana, Ohio State, Notre Dame could win the Natty. Oregon, I think, could win the Natty. I don't think Ole Miss is winning the Natty. I don't think Oklahoma is winning the Natty. I don't think any of the ACC teams are, obviously. I don't think A&M is. Although, I don't know. A&M's just had for SEC standards, such an easy schedule. CBS Sports has Michigan versus Texas in the Citrus Bowl. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough spot for Texas, I guess, because Texas is not going to make the playoff. There's just not. The spots are not there for them. Now, if Oklahoma loses, then now you're talking. If Oklahoma loses for Texas and Vanderbilt loses, all right, you're going to move up. They're going to move in front of those two teams then. Where would that put them at, like 13? Then maybe they potentially make it. Why such an early stream? I don't know. I just want to do a live stream, I guess. We're getting a repeat of last year, Ohio versus Oregon. Ohio State versus Oregon. Yeah, but that was in the Rose Bowl. I don't know. It'll depend on where Oregon will be seated. I mean, Oregon's probably looking at the 7 seed, maybe the 6 or the 7 seed. Maybe they stay put at 6. So that's a good spot for Oregon. Yeah, you don't want to face Notre Dame right now, especially if you're the 1 seed. In the second round, that's your first game then, because it's going to be an 8v9 matchup. It's going to be Notre Dame against God knows who. Probably Oklahoma. They're going to beat Oklahoma. Then you're going to have to face Notre Dame in the second round. Notre Dame is the number 3 best team in college football according to betting odds. So why are we doing this? Why do we not? Let's move Notre Dame up a few spots because they are that good. I mean, and let's allow the 1 seed to avoid facing Notre Dame. Just like, they had Ohio State as the 8 seed last year. They made Oregon face them in the second round after Oregon had already beaten them in the regular season. It's just nonsensical. It would probably be advantageous for OSU to lose next week. It probably would be. Based on you want to get that loss out of the way and you want to possibly get a better seed line. If you could face Texas Tech in that second round, if you could face Alabama with no running game in the second round, I think that's a better situation than Notre Dame. But Alabama may still get a bye. We don't know. It'll be dependent on what happens over the next 2 weeks. Find it surprising how nobody talks about the Marriott between the towers. Because it's an afterthought. It's just a hotel. What's with the Lane Kiffin mess? Yeah, I know. It's just terrible. The Lane Kiffin. I'm not. Lane Kiffin is an attention whore. Remember he got mad at the reporter for calling him a hoe? He's an attention whore. That's what Lane Kiffin is. He's obsessed with attention. Lane Kiffin doing this to his school is terrible. He should have accepted some type of contract extension. You're in the playoff. Your team's possibly going to be the 5 or the 6 seed. And he has to flirt with other schools because it's an attention-based thing. Ole Miss can offer him a lot of money. They could potentially match what LSU is giving him. But it has to be a spectacle for him. It has to be this just attention show. and it's just horrible for the sport. He's going to be on his third SEC team or fourth SEC team. I can't even keep track. And he's not even like this is this great of a coach. He's a good coach. He's a good offensive coach. That's fine. I just think the whole thing is, for a team to be in a playoff hunt and be dealing with their, think about how Ole Miss feels. They got to feel like bitched out completely. Your team's having this year and the coach is like, fuck this, I'm leaving. I'm going to LSU, who sucks this year. I hate the default to head-to-head as a tiebreaker, though it is worth more than a win. Miami already getting the benefit of the doubt being tied with Notre Dame from beating them. Well, I think the problem with Miami is, and look, I didn't watch the game today because I was watching the Ohio State game the entire time. Wow, BYU ended up covering. Well, that was an 18-point spread. 18, 17-point spread. Yeah, that's an impressive win. Let's take a look at this. Obviously, the win over Notre Dame. I don't know. Is South Florida any good still? They're all right. I guess it just comes down to full body of work. Yeah, they got the win over Pitt. They got the win over Notre Dame, and that's it. Dude, it's challenging. Like, there's no way that I would leave that I think Miami's better than Notre Dame. No way. But I don't think they're going to really do that. I just can't see it. Is North Texas your group of 5 team? And I'd have to look at the American Championship and see whoever wins the American, I think, is going to make it. So I think, is North Texas in the American Championship right now? Ohio State, Indiana, 1v2. Kind of funny. It's a 1v2 game. 1v2, but does it even matter? That's the sad thing with the playoff format. 1v2 game. I think Ryan Day really wants a Big Ten championship. He's been pretty adamant about the fact that that's one of their main goals. But it feels like, for Ohio State, it's a unique program where the Michigan game is actually more important than whatever the Big Ten championship is. So, but it still is a big game for them, I'm sure. Yeah, I saw North Texas won. I don't know if they're going to make it. Maybe they will make it. How much did that loss hurt A&M in terms of the rankings? It's going to bump them back. I don't think they're going to get by. I think they're probably going to be like A&M has had a crazy easy schedule by SEC standards, and they're still going to be ranked good in terms of strength of record. But where's their big win exactly? They don't. The Notre Dame win, but outside of that, they don't really have a big win. I guess what's their big win at LSU? Then they have the loss to Texas. So the loss to Texas will bump them down. I think there's a way that they maybe sneak at the 4, but to me, it comes down to their strength of record. I saw their strength of record was still second, which I know they pay a lot of attention to strength of record. So if their strength of record is still good, there's a chance they might sneak into the 4 seed at 11-1. Oh, sorry, I forgot about this comment. Love is the only player that's given Heisman vibe, saying in Mendoza would feel just like an NFL MVP, which is basically top-seeded team's QB award. And then person says, not so fast, Mendoza. Yeah, no, I think there's a different vibe with Mendoza. But honestly, in terms of your larger point, I agree. I think both Sayin and Mendoza, it's kind of a default award if they get it. But Mendoza, Indiana is not a traditionally good program. Now, yeah, they were good last year with a transfer QB. And now they have another transfer QB, and it's like they're still, they're better this year, but they were still really good last year. But I think there's more of a narrative for Indiana and in their quarterback to get it than Ohio State. Ohio State, if Sayin gets it, it's really just like an NFL MVP, and not even a good NFL MVP. Just like we have to give it to somebody, and his team's the best. And Sayin's pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really see Sayin elevating Ohio State to a crazy height. That's not how they play. They play, even against Michigan, they're playing grinded out, long drives, and they had a 12-minute drive. You're going to have a 12-minute drive, that's a lot of running, that's a lot of short passes. That's what it is. They literally had a 12-minute drive today. That's really not a quarterback being extraordinary when you have a 12-minute drive. But I think Mendoza, either Mendoza or saying it's going to be like, okay, it's a quarterback award. But the problem with Love is he just doesn't have the stats. I mean, he has 1,300 rushing yards. That's a low amount for a running back to win the Heisman. That's a very low amount. Do you think Indiana can beat Ohio State? I think it's going to be hard for them to. I think Ohio State's just a lot more talented than Indiana. And I mean, I guess Indiana's a balanced team. They can throw and run. So you also have to factor in, I mean, does losing really hurt that much? Maybe not. Which team has the worst, most annoying fan base? Whichever team is rivals to your team is always the most annoying fan base. That's basically what college football fans say. They say, well, Michigan fans are the most annoying, and it's Ohio State fan arguing it, or Alabama fans are the most annoying. It's whatever team you hate, then you'll say the fan base is the most annoying. Thoughts on? I mean, Ohio State's O line was pretty impressive against Michigan's pass rush. Michigan had no pass rush today at all, and that surprised me. Thoughts on what will happen with Notre Dame and Miami? I think Notre Dame's going to be in front of Miami. Now, maybe Miami makes it still somehow if the ACC team is not good enough, I guess. Like, if SMU wins the ACC, I mean, SMU did beat Miami, so it's like they have the head, but I think they're going to put Notre Dame in. No, there's no way they're going to leave the number 3 team, according to the analytics, out of the playoff. I just don't see it. I can't see any way that happens. Ohio State probably still gets a bye with a loss. No, no, no. Ohio State will definitely get a bye with a loss. Indiana would also get a bye with a loss. That's just so the winner of Ohio State Indiana will be the 1 seed. The loser will be the 3 seed. They're going to split them up. But I can pretty much guarantee they're both going to get byes. So I would imagine it would be 1 and 3. The winner of the SEC is going to be the 2 seed, and then possibly another SEC team is the 4 seed or Texas Tech. That's what I would say. It depends how the SEC shakes out because there's still a lot of options for the SEC in terms of their conference championship. Oklahoma's a paper tiger. I don't even think they're a paper tiger. It's not like their analytics are that great. I mean, they really are they're a real boring team, 3-3. Well, the over-under in this game was like 37. So I guess, there's a reason why. What are your thoughts on where Florida and FSU go? Well, I guess Florida, it depends who they hire. Depends who Florida hires. Maybe Summerall, or maybe they get Kiffin, but I don't think they're going to get Kiffin. I think LSU will. Florida State is pretty much screwed. They have basically they admitted they couldn't pay the massive buyout for Norvell or Norvell, and they're stuck with Norvell for next year, I guess. Oklahoma's the glorified version of Iowa. Yeah, I mean to a degree, they're just a defensive team. I don't think Oklahoma is very good. I think a lot of people would be fine with Oklahoma losing this game and getting bounced out of the playoffs. So Tulane has to beat Charlotte to make the American Conference Championship. Tulane versus North Texas. Yeah, whoever wins Tulane versus North Texas will be in the playoff. That's as simple. That's as simple way as we can do it. But I don't know why North Texas isn't in here. BYU versus Texas Tech. Ohio State versus Indiana. So they're starting, the conference championship games are starting to come along. Get rid of that. Snow games. Yeah, snow games can be fun. Depends what team you're rooting for, though. Sometimes snow games are tough. If you're an offensive team and you're rooting for a team and it's snowing. Even with Miami defeating Notre Dame. Notre Dame's best win according to ESPN at 22. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think Miami in comparison to Notre Dame, it's too big of a difference, right? It's just too big of a difference. Miami had the bad ACC losses. I just don't see it with Miami. I mean, they might make it because listen, they need to get an ACC team. Maybe they'll make it as a non-champion. Can you explain the MAC tiebreaker rules? I have no clue. I don't know. Normally, tiebreakers are done originally head to head, and then when there's more than two teams that are tied with a record, they're done by something like overall record or something. I don't exactly know. Like overall record against conference or overall record against each other or something like that. No conference champions have to make it. No, they actually don't, and I don't know why that's a thing, but it's actually true because people corrected me on it. I thought, yeah, conference champions winners had to make it for sure, but that's not the rule. I don't think. Not anymore. Boomers see a wonderful snow game like that and say, "No, we need a translucent roof now." Yeah, that's more like capitalists. Maybe boomer capitalists say that. Yeah. No, but that's not a college thing, bro. Colleges don't go to translucent roofs. Name a sport you don't care about at all. Probably soccer. Minnesota, Wisconsin playing in the snow. How bad is it snowing though? Like inches? Can Miami make the ACC championship? I don't think so. You'd have to look at tiebreakers basically, because the problem is Miami doesn't have the tiebreakers. Like, this is not even going to show up for me. I have to go to this. 2-loss Miami. So SMU has a tiebreaker over Miami. Miami has a tiebreaker over Pitt. SMU for sure is making it no matter what happens. And then I guess for Virginia, if Virginia loses, I don't know, because then it becomes a tie between all of these teams. I think Duke might make it then, actually, believe it or not. But who does Duke face? Wake Forest. They're winning. It's a log jam in terms of the tiebreakers. I mean, huh. Syracuse, man, Syracuse is horrible. They really are terrible. I know their starting quarterback got injured, but my goodness. Vanderbilt. I think Tennessee's going to win that game against Vanderbilt. Man, Missouri is 3-4 in conference. Possibly going to be 3-5. Wow. 24-21 at half. Delayed. What a delayed because of lightning. Florida beating FSU. What a nothing game that is. Florida versus FSU. That was supposed to be a good game this year. You should watch soccer in Europe. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, I mean, I know those fan bases are a lot more passionate, but I never really got into soccer. It is a European sport. It's like a South American European sport. Yeah, I think Texas Tech probably gets a bye if they win against. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see what the narratives are, but I think they probably get a bye if they win against whoever they face. If we can BYU. If Alabama wins the SEC, do you think they would jump all the way to two? Well, then they would have to beat Georgia again. I mean, they probably would jump to two, bro. They probably would. I mean, even with two losses, because who else is going to be in front of them if they win the SEC? I mean, I guess one loss teams maybe, but you'd have to value the SEC championship win. You think a 9-3 is in the playoffs? I don't think there's room for a 9-3. It'll be dependent though on if some of these teams lose. I mean, man, look at all these just crap games. I was gonna go to that, but it'll be dependent on maybe Washington wins. I mean, Washington just scored. Maybe LSU wins. Maybe Tennessee wins. That would knock Vanderbilt to a 3-loss. That would knock Oklahoma to 3-loss. Knock Oregon to 2-loss. I mean, there needs to be upsets. Are you doing a non-college football live stream later? Probably not. Kiffin should stay at Ole Miss. He'll get an extension with money. Yeah, I agree. I think Kiffin already should have agreed to an extension, just like all these other coaches. But obviously, he's trying to leverage the teams against each other. What chance would you give Miami to make the playoff above? No, it would not be above 50. Their chances are really low right now. See, this thing is so fucking annoying, dude. 17%. Well, they beat Pittsburgh, so their chances are going to go up from 17. Maybe they go to like 30% chance. This isn't updated fully yet. I think Ohio State might go to the number one strength of record after it updates after their win over Michigan. I'm not sure though. They probably will go to number one strength of record because they're undefeated. They're gonna jump A&M. I know that. That's too bad. Yeah, man. I mean, there's just not a lot to talk about with politics anymore. It feels like, like what even is there? What even were I'm not this whenever I do those streams, it doesn't really feel like I'm talking about anything anyways. It feels like there's just like there's just not much going on. Even Tim Pool said that, and I was actually thankful he said that. He's like, "Yeah, there's just nothing happening and it's affecting things and do you see a world in which Texas makes it? I don't think Texas has any chance to make it, man. There's just there's no paths for. I mean, all right, so let's say Oklahoma loses 3 games. All right, Texas is in front of Oklahoma. Texas moves in front of Vanderbilt if Tennessee beats them. So that's 2 teams. The issue is the auto bids, because think about it. Just think about how this works. I'd have to go back to this, but let's just do it by this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 team 9. So there's nine. Well, maybe if Alabama loses to Auburn, but you probably have 8 teams pretty much guaranteed to make it. That's not even counting Oklahoma, who may win, and then they'd be guaranteed to make it. So that's 9 teams. Then on top of that, you have to have the auto spots. Group of 5 is 10 teams. ACC is 11 teams. I mean, dude, I guess there is a. Well, then you've got Utah. What is Utah's situation? They're 10-2. Yeah, I mean, maybe it becomes an argument if Utah's 10-2. But then what do you do with Miami? I think Miami would be in front of Texas, actually, as an at-large. I don't see why they wouldn't. 10-2 versus 9-3. Miami has the win against Notre Dame. I mean, but that's counting on Oklahoma to lose. That's counting on, Bama to lose. You have to have spots open. They need Bama to lose. They need Oklahoma to lose. Those spots have to open for them. This summer will be good right before midterms. I know, but dude, even that, like, think about how annoying that's going to be. Think about the midterms. All the midterms are, it's just like it's just appeasement to like independent normies. Like, it's the midterms, I think, are going to be it's going to be annoying. And there's going to be a lot of people saying Trump's going to lose the midterms because, the way it works traditionally. So I think the midterms are going to be a shit show. I mean, I don't know how Republicans will do. But it doesn't seem like the redistricting is going well. I will say that. Maybe Trump can save it, but a lot of these Republicans are starting to cuck out on actually drawing new maps, or it's like the fucking state legislatures are not wanting to do it. And the one guy said, we're not drawing a new map in Indiana because Tim Walz was called retarded by Trump. He said, well, Trump called Tim Walz retarded. And I guess Trump had a message. Like a Truth Social, he called him a retard, Tim Walz. And then the guy said, like, that's mean. He shouldn't say that. This is a Republican representative. He says, that's mean. So I'm not redrawing to add another district for Republicans in the midterms. Really? Like, what? You can't do that, man. You need to redraw it. I don't know what Trump said, or he called someone a retard. It's like, I mean, Trump just does that every day. What do you want? Just that's what Trump does. So what's the issue? But he got angry. We don't need to see Tulane in the playoffs. Well, I mean, what does it matter if it's Tulane or North Texas? It's just like, what does it even matter? What is the difference between those two teams, really? It's like the same thing. Do you like Georgia or Texas Tech better? Dude, I think it's hard to gauge Texas Tech. I think Georgia's better than Texas Tech, even though Georgia kind of struggled against Georgia Tech. I probably think that they're better than Texas Tech. So if OU and Vanderbilt loses, does Texas get in the playoffs? I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. But then you're setting yourself up in arguments. Then it's going to be but the problem for Texas is they may still have, they still have Miami. So would Miami get in front of them as an at-large team? And then you also have the ACC champion on top of Miami. And then you also have the group of 5 auto bid. Because you already have all of these one-loss teams like Georgia, Ole Miss, Oregon. They're all making it for sure. A&M. There's another one-loss team that's making it. We'll see what happens with Bama. If Bama wins tonight, they make it. Is it snowing where you're at? It was snowing earlier. It's actually supposed to snowstorm in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Dude, it is crazy. If they would have had the Michigan-Ohio State game tonight, it would have been a snowstorm during the game, like a literal snowstorm. Like multiple inches during the game. Because when it snowed, it was only like a quarter of an inch. But I don't live in Ann Arbor. I'm just saying, I was looking at the weather and I was like, wow, there's a crazy band that's coming in at like 7 o'clock at night. All this arguing over the last two spots just to see them get blown out at Oregon and Texas Tech. Yeah, probably. Well, no, because one of the spots is going to be a group of five. Your thoughts on there being a convention of states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution in order to rein in the federal government? Well, there's already so much separation of power. Good, we're going to give the federal. Well, I mean, I guess it depends. If I don't like the federal government that's in place, I'm probably going to be for states having more power. But states already do have power, man. I mean, they specifically, that's how it's designed to give states significant power. They need more power. But that's probably going to change if a Democrat wins. I'd probably say, yes, states should have more independent power. So Oklahoma versus LSU, 3-3 at half. I know, it's just so boring. I mean, what's the over-under on this at this point? 22 and a half? Come on. Spread is now 6.5. I mean, I still think Oklahoma could cover this spread, but 21-21. That's a hell of a game. I'd like to see this. 298 to 245. 300 yards of offense for Pavia. Pavia may be making a run. 2 interceptions. It's not going to help. Can James Madison make it? Well, I don't know how the tiebreakers work with that. Um, I don't know how many losses James Madison has. I'd have to look at the American Conference. Where is this? Where's the standings, bro? Bruh. How's Tulane? Well, Tulane's over them probably because they like Tulane more as a just in general. Tulane's a stronger team, probably. Who wins between Ohio State and Indiana? I think Ohio State wins. I think the spread will be probably 4.5. Ohio State favorites by 4.5. It's a weird situation. I mean, I'm waiting for this spread to be. Does anyone know? Because I know, the spread you could argue should be a pick 'em, but I think they're probably going to have Ohio State minus 4.5. But there's no spread for this game yet. It is pretty insane, 12-0 versus 12-0. I mean, that should be a good game, but for some reason, I do like the Fox presentation better than CBS. Even though Fox has like 50,000 commercials. Big Ten S better than SEC? No, I mean I think the Big Ten is very top heavy. Maybe they have the two or three of the best teams in the sport, but the conference overall, the problem with the Big Ten is Penn State sucked this year, and so the depth isn't there for the conference. If Penn State was really good, I think definitely you could make an argument the Big Ten's better than the SEC, but Penn State went from like a perennial top 10 team to not being ranked. So it's kind of hard, as a conference to overcome that. Sunday Night Football looks the best. Yeah, I mean, I don't really notice much of a difference. I guess you could argue that NBC. Yeah, NBC has a good production. I like Notre Dame games on NBC. Notre Dame plays at 10:30. That's brutal. Their fans are pissed off. That's terrible. Imagine playing at 10:30 in the last Saturday. That's horrible. who of the top five teams can get upset? It would probably be A&M or Texas Tech would get upset, but I don't see it. Well, I mean, if A&M faces Miami, they could get upset in a game like that, but I don't know if they'll face Miami. I think Oregon wins this game. I had them covering the 6.5, and I have Oklahoma covering. That's not looking great. I have Tennessee winning by 3. That may happen, honestly. Thoughts on Sarkeesian saying Texas deserves to be in the playoff? Dude, I need like to get I need to get water or some shit. I don't know if there's water around here or what. I don't think there even is. Fuck. But Sarkeesian, yeah, I mean he's gonna go to bat for his team. I understand going to bat for your team. Of course, he's gonna present his case, and they need some upsets, but maybe it happens. If Oregon loses, they're in. Yeah, they're gonna be in. They're gonna be on the road probably in round 1. They're probably gonna be the 10 seed if they lose this game. That would be my prediction on that. So they would face a 7. They're gonna be in if they lose, but they're gonna be lower. So they're gonna be on the road. It'd be tough for them. They need to win this game. They get a home game in round 1. Any more vlogs coming? It would be nice to have a vlog or two. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll try and do more of those. I really should try and do more abstract content in some way. Maybe because it'll be more interesting. Pepe, yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. You'd rather see Texas than Tulane or North Texas? Yeah, but it's based off of like auto qualifiers. They have to be in the group of 5. What matchup do you want to see? Yours is Texas versus Texas Tech versus Georgia. Um, the dream matchup of the playoff. Let me think about this. Probably Ohio. No, maybe Ohio State, Bama. It'd be cool to see Ohio State face Alabama again. It'd be cool to see Ohio State face Georgia again. Games not involving Ohio State. It'd be cool to see Indiana face a team like Bama. Will you ever do a video on Fuentes and the Groypers? Um, I mean, I don't know if I think it's a good idea, I guess, but assuming Alabama beats Auburn and loses to the SEC champion, which 3 less team gets in first, Texas or Alabama? Alabama would get in. The reason Alabama would get in is because they would not punish Bama for playing in the SEC championship. See, at that point it would be Bama is 10-2, Texas is 9-3. So Bama has the better record. Now, Bama loses in the SEC championship, they wouldn't get punished for that third loss. They would be in for sure over Texas, guaranteed, because it's a conference championship game. It's an extension of the season. Texas would only be playing 12 games. Bama would be at 13. They'd be 10-3. Texas would be 9-3. There could be 4 Texas teams in the playoffs. Texas Tech, Texas. Yeah, I mean, because North Texas. Because of North Texas, there could be, I guess. Indiana versus Notre Dame would be sick. Yeah, but that matchup already happened last year. I mean, I guess in a rematch. You think USC is lacking as a program? Probably. I mean, they are lacking to a degree. I mean, they haven't really been that successful with Lincoln Riley. They've been okay, but not up to like I'm sure they're looking at Oregon and saying, well, why can't we be that good? Because Oregon is like this really good team now. Do we know who's in the ACC championship yet? No, I don't believe so. I'm guessing it's going to be, I think it has to be SMU. Well, if SMU, the problem is there's tiebreakers with like four different teams, so it's actually kind of impossible to determine. Like, I think it might be SMU versus Virginia if I had to guess, but those teams could lose tonight. Yeah, dude, Pitt was terrible today. I thought Pitt would be better. I didn't watch the game at all though, but I saw they got crushed. I'd actually like to see the stats on that just to see the efficiency numbers, like how bad was it actually? 416, 229, 8.6 versus 6.0. Yeah. 9 for 88 penalties. Ohio State got a bunch of penalties as well. And, dude, Ohio State's ball control was just insane. 419 to 163. Like, look at time of possession, 40 versus 20. Michigan had 3.5 yards per attempt. That you're not going to win a game like that. I mean, unless 8 of 18. They just never had the ball. But even that, 8 of 18 for 63, you're not going to win a game like that. Did they have any sack? No, they didn't have a single sack. They had 4 tackles for loss. I'm surprised they even had 4 tackles. I guess because Ohio State ran way more plays. That's probably why. I wonder what Sayan's QBR ended up being. Tate had 5 for 82. The 50-yard touchdown. Bo Jackson had 4 for 49. Yeah, that's a problem for Michigan is covering the running back out of the backfield. He had like 4 impactful catches. Yeah, so it's probably going to be Virginia versus SMU. Oof, that's not a good matchup for that conference. Let me tell you, that's a bad matchup. Who do you think was the most disappointing team? Probably Penn's. Well, who was the other? Oh, probably Penn State, I guess. I mean, maybe Florida, but Florida was ranked lower. They were like ranked 15th coming into the year. Clemson. Oh yeah, Clemson. That's who I was thinking of. Clemson and Penn State were the two teams inside the top 5 that went to unranked. Do you think Indiana plus 6.5 is good against Ohio State? There's a lot of points. Are they seriously plus 6.5? Is that the spread? That surprises me a little. I thought it was going to be 4.5. I don't know. The problem is Ohio State's 10-2 against the spread, so you have to start like thinking a team 10-2 against the spread. Is it worth betting against them? I mean, obviously they have the talent advantage over Indiana, and it's an indoor game, which is going to help them. So it's a good clean track. I don't really think the game being in Indiana really is going to make much of a difference. It's the way they allot the tickets. I think they allot half to each team, so it's not like Indiana's going to have a crazy home field crowd. I don't think. Oh no, I don't think that's how they do it. I think it might be first come, first serve. It's not like a bowl. You take Indiana first half spread, it's probably plus 3.5. Yeah, I don't like doing. I mean, the first half spreads like those can be a challenge, honestly. First half spreads. I even first quarter spreads. I know a lot of people like doing that. FanDuel has plus 6.5, 5.5. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably ranges between 4.5 and 6.5. Probably that's pretty fair. I mean, obviously there's a talent discrepancy, but Indiana's still been good this year. OSU covered like thermite. OSU has been covering just every game, bro. Like you could argue they're like 11-1 and or they're 10-1 and 1 against the spread or 10-2 depending. They had another cover. You know, this game have a lot of the public was obsessed with Michigan in this game. It got bet down pretty early. It stayed at 9.5. And they end up winning by 18. The under hits again, and that's pretty typical. We're gonna have to wait for the FPI to update. Unfortunately, it takes a day for it to update. It updates tomorrow morning. College football bracket. Yeah, college football bracket challenge. I think I saw that somewhere. I don't know where. But obviously it's not decided yet. You have to wait for these conference championship games. You think college football bracket challenge for your channel winner gets a year membership? Yeah, that would be fine. I think I could just make people members. Let me actually see. No, I can't do it from here. Browns are a QB and receiver away from being a legit contender. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe. But the quarterback is the hardest one to find. Finding a good quarterback. Bro, the Browns are not in the playoff hunt. They're 3-8, bro. What are you talking about? You saying the Browns are in the playoff hunt? Why Michigan was blocking the M? Yeah, that was actually a good. I'm glad Ohio State didn't try and run out and plant the flag. I think that would have been tacky, especially after what happened last year. So I think it's good that they didn't try and do that. You would school me in an immigration debate? I highly doubt that. Would you argue for another fucking we only have 50 million immigrants, we need 70 million? I don't even know what the argument is for more immigration nowadays. They showed a graphic on Thanksgiving with the Browns in the playoff hunt. Yeah, they're not in the playoff hunt at all. They probably just had to add a filler team. You wanted them to do it. Ryan Day stopped it. Yeah, I know. Ryan Day told them not to do it because it would have looked tacky, honestly. Does Miami make the playoff? I don't think so. Ravens low key suck, kinda. Yeah, Ravens aren't very good this year, looks like. Even with Jackson. Yeah, this rivalry week. I mean, I guess this game looks. This isn't even a rivalry. I mean, what's Vanderbilt versus Tennessee? What in state? I don't even think this is a rivalry. I don't know. Maybe people will tell me that it is, but the only thing I can think of this game might be really good. Bama versus Auburn. Stanford versus Notre Dame. Come on, man. Come on, bro. What chance do you give Auburn of beating Alabama? Maybe a 30% chance. Maybe around a 30% chance, I'd say. Well, the Texas coach has to argue for his players. I mean, I understand why he's doing it. Yesterday's games, yeah, I mean, A&M losing was pretty funny. I did predict A&M to lose. It wasn't that big of an upset though. It was only a 3-point spread. So A&M losing. Other than that, what was the three? I mean, the 3:30 game was bad. Georgia versus Tech. Auburn has a pretty good chance. Well, Bama can't run. I mean, when you're going on the road in a rivalry game and you have no run game, it's going to be a challenge. Yeah, I saw Eagles fans flaming out. I mean, it's just that fan base is pretty insane. Ole Miss game was interesting. I thought the Ole Miss game was gonna be better, honestly, than it was. Some defensive players on Texas making 10% of Manning is criminal. What an NIL money. If Auburn wins versus Ole Miss, if Auburn wins, is it's Ole Miss versus Georgia. Wow, then Ole Miss makes it. I thought Ole Miss had lost the tiebreakers. I know they lost the tiebreaker against Georgia, but I mean, so that I guess they would face Georgia in that scenario if Auburn wins. Yeah, Ole Miss is. I think they're a legit playoff team. 11-1 SEC team. They've got some big wins. I mean, you're shocked Gus Johnson still calls games. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's been calling Ohio State games for like, they've had that contract with Fox, so it's been like 6 years now. Thoughts on Venezuelan airspace being shut down? I don't know about that one. I think he shouldn't. We really shouldn't be doing these foreign explorations, and it just seems like it's probably not going to end well for his approval rating if he does this type of stuff. Did JD Vance go to the Ohio State game? No, he wouldn't go to the Ohio State game. The game was in Michigan. Who's the Heisman winner? That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, look at this, bro. 45 to 42. So I guess that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be decided in the Big Ten championship. I don't really think either of these two should win the Heisman, but there's no one else. So I mean, if Mendoza beats Ohio State's defense, then I think people would be fine with giving it to him. Is Arch Manning really that good? Arch Manning's actually not bad. He does have accuracy problems, but he's he's kind of a physical quarterback. He's got a much better pocket awareness now. He's definitely improved as a player, but he still is not like an elite quarterback. You saw ESPN hyping up Miami for the playoffs. I mean, they have a chance. You know, there's going to be a lot of hardliners that argue head to head and they should be in over Notre Dame, but I just think the analytics are too out of whack for them to be over Notre Dame. Before the OSU game, Urban Meyer said if Ohio State gets 3 touchdowns, game over, and that's exactly what happened. And holding Michigan to field goals. I mean, that you're going to lose games if you settle for field goals in college. I mean, you just are. So those 2 field goals that Michigan settled for, it's going to be a problem for them. You thought Manti Te'o should have won it in 2012? Yeah, it's hard to give it to a defensive player. Who won it? Mariota? Did Mariota win it that year? Or did I don't know who would have won it. Michigan overpaid for a mid QB. I would calm down on that. I think he's a true freshman. I mean, he's got to grow. Now, if he struggles next year, then yeah, that's a disaster for them. But he needs to really grow and be a really good quarterback next year for that to pay off. I mean, they still went 9-3. If they would have went 6-6 this year, I would say yeah, that's pretty bad. Johnny Manziel won in 2012. Then Teo must have been another year. Now, Colin Klein should not have won the Heisman. He choked. He choked late in the season. Yeah, I remember. I remember when he was for Kansas State. I remember when he was up for the Heisman. Manziel got carried by Mike Evans. Manziel was like the perfect college quarterback, though, dual threat running. So it doesn't surprise me that he won a Heisman. Your stepbrother turned off the OSU game after Ohio took the lead. They're Michigan fans. Well, I mean, I think by late third quarter, the game was over. I mean, Ohio State had a 12-minute drive. When they had that 12-minute drive, that was the end of that game. Why would 2 loss Bama go to the SEC championship if they win tonight? Because they have 1 conference loss. Bama lost to FSU in week 1. It's a non-conference game. It doesn't count against their conference record. That's why. The Ravens are not drafting a quarterback. Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison wasted some money. I'll tell you that with Brett. No, I don't think so. But he did spend a bunch of money on Bryce Underwood. LSU touchdown. That would be a terrible situation. That would be bad for Oklahoma. That'd be bad for the SEC if Oklahoma lost. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna draft a quarterback. Doesn't make sense. Favorite fast food place? Probably Chick-fil-A. If OU is out, then that's gonna open up a spot probably for Miami, if I had to guess. Probably for Miami. Then they can say the best of both worlds. Notre Dame and Miami both make it. They don't have to make a decision. And they probably have like Miami as a 10 seed, Notre Dame as a 9 seed. Did you love seeing the Chiefs lose? I don't really care either way. Wrong chat to ask, but do you think deportation will increase after the NG National Guard shooting? I think they're going to try and use it to, implement some type of deportation effort. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, though. I mean, it seems like Trump wants to really eliminate a lot of legal immigration, so that maybe happens. They're going to use it to try and do that, I guess. I don't know how successful it's going to be. It's hard to say. Can't imagine Miami makes it if Virginia wins out, finishes 11-2. Now Virginia would have one loss, bro. If Virginia win, oh, you mean they and yeah, but I could see it because Virginia just doesn't have the analytics. I know what you're saying. They lose in the ACC championship, but they go into it 11-1. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I think Miami would be ranked ahead of them because the numbers are just not there for Virginia. Would Texas be in front of Vandy because they beat them? Yeah, but Vandy has a better overall record. If Vandy beats Tennessee, Vandy would be in front of Texas. Trust me, because they'd be 10-2. Tennessee's 9-3. What's your take on the Venezuela situation? I don't really know, man. I think foreign involvement is unfortunate. It seems like they're trying to pick a fight with Venezuela. They want to get rid of the socialist leadership and they want control of the oil reserves and they want Venezuela to be under US sphere of influence based on where they're located. They think that Venezuela should be under US sphere of influence. Sorry if you already said, but did you have a nice Thanksgiving? Yeah, it was fine. We normally go to my cousins, but this year we didn't do that, so I just had like it with my closer family, primary family or whatever. Cheer on Troy. What is it? The Trojans, I think. I don't know who's Troy playing right now. Texas struggled with Kentucky and Mississippi State. Yeah, but then we're really nitpicking with that. I mean, you could say other teams struggle as well with certain teams. That's where game control comes into play, and you'd have to look at the game control. I wonder where Texas's game control has to be horrifically bad, honestly. Dude, like, look at this. It won't even doesn't even allow me to look at that. Yeah, they're 18th. Yeah, that's a problem for them if they're 18th in game control. I mean, their strength of record is 11th, but it's probably going to go down because other teams, well, their strength of record is probably going to be below Vanderbilt if Vanderbilt beats Tennessee. I don't know if Notre Dame can move in front of them because beating Stanford's not that great of a win. Michigan obviously is going to fall. Utah's probably going to move up a few spots. Miami's going to move up. They got a pretty solid win. Ham or turkey guy? We never really have ham. I know that's a big thing. that people have ham now because they don't like turkey. I don't really mind turkey as long as gravy's on top of it. That's what I tweeted out. I said, you know what? I think turkey's fine, but there has to be gravy. I do understand it's dry. So turkey tends to be dry. Um, but yeah, it's we never really have ham. You know, ham is like a Christmas thing, I thought, but is it acceptable to eat leftovers after 2 days? I think it depends on what the leftover is, honestly. Well, we ordered a pizza today, so I'll probably just have that. But we don't really have any leftovers. Or we did, but then I ate them yesterday. You hope Ohio State beats Indiana. I think they will. I think Day has made an emphasis on the Big Ten championship. I know the narrative is going to be, well, Ohio State doesn't care about the Big Ten championship, but I think Day has actually made it an emphasis. But I'd like to see the spread come out. Let me actually just go to this. Did you see Nick Fuentes was going to be on Piers Morgan? Yeah, that's probably going to be a mess. I think Piers Morgan's going to try and have a moment where he confronts him. It seems like Piers Morgan is kind of dude, what Piers Morgan said was really bad. He said that we need more immigrants because of food. He's like, "Well, we had bad food in London, and so now it's better with, all the immigrants." I don't even know how that's a narrative. The food is a narrative on immigration, but I think it's probably going to be a pretty combative interview. So it'd probably be interesting, honestly. Did you get anything for Black Friday? No, no, I didn't get anything. Indiana is going to destroy Ohio. I don't think so, bro. I'd be shocked. Indiana may win. I think it'd be a really close game if they won. Pierce said we should not say the F word. Yeah, I know. I saw that thing with Tucker Carlson. U.S. oil refineries are tuned for sour crude while the U.S. fracks sweet crude. The refineries require oil to be mixed with sour crude from Canada. Problem is, Canada's crude is expensive to extract. Well, I mean, what point are you making exactly? Yeah, fracking costs a lot more money than oil extraction from the Middle East. That's why when oil prices go down, the oil in the U.S. is, they stop fracking it. Where did Indiana get all their players from? Transfer portal and some of it's development, but a lot of them came from the portal. Thoughts on Shador being Cleveland's coming of Christ? I don't think so, man. I don't think that's gonna really work out for the Browns with Shador. Piers tried to draw Nick to England, knowing damn well Nick. No, he would not be arrested, bro. You know how bad that would look for their country if they arrested him. No, I don't think he's going to England. Well, actually, Pearl Davis flew to England, I think, to do the Piers Morgan stuff. Whenever Piers Morgan has people on, it's always like Zoom type thing because yeah, he's in Europe. It's always on Zoom. He's gonna fly to England. That's a long flight, man. They would arrest him. They're not gonna arrest him, bro. Their country would that would be the most pathetic thing imaginable for their country. No, it doesn't look like Washington's gonna win, man. Oregon keeps settling for these field goals, but Pierce made it clear he wants the interview in person. Yeah, but how are you gonna travel to England? I mean, that seems like you're gonna waste your entire week. That seems like a waste. I do agree with Piers, like the interviews are better in person, but it's a long travel. Oklahoma might lose Mateer 3 interceptions. Yeah, but it looks like LSU has the ball at their own 4 yard line about to punt. So, man, Mateer has been. Does he seriously have 3 interceptions? Damn. They only have 25 passing yards. I think Oklahoma's going to win. It doesn't seem like t- LSU is really playing well. They have 96 yards of offense versus two. I think Oklahoma's going to come back and win. That's a very fluky score. Do you think Maduro will chill with Assad in Russia? I have no clue. I don't know where he is right now. Isn't he in a hideout? Isn't he in like a hideout shelter or something? Did you see Kiffin confront the reporter? Yeah, I don't like Kiffin, man. I really don't. Well, Kiffin he got called a hoe or something. He is an attention whore. What if he called it, dude? What if the reporter was just like, "Wait, you're not a hoe. You're an attention whore. Sorry, I got it wrong." Dude, imagine if he said that. I wonder what his reaction would be. He'd probably be like, "I'm firing you right now off of the beat. You're getting fired off the press corps." After that, he's like, "You're not a hoe. You're actually an attention whore. Sorry, I misspoke." He'd be like, "You're just fired." I think it's a reporter for Ole Miss, and that's an entire mess because those fans are like, they're doing like Ole Miss fans have to tell themselves, we're gonna keep Lane Kiffin and whatever, and we still love him, but this guy's an asshole for even entertaining this. You're gonna entertain other jobs as your team's 10-1, 11-1 in the playoff. It was a on three reporter. Yeah, on three does do that. Thoughts on Trump calling Waltz seriously retarded? Yeah, I saw that. That was I don't know, man. I mean, Trump. I don't really. If I was a politician, I wouldn't say that honestly. But I mean, that's just how Trump is. So I don't really get why people are so angry about it. Waltz did say he made a joke about Trump dying. So that's the other thing. It's like, you can't do this high and mighty horse when the guy literally just made a joke a month ago about Trump dying or getting assassinated. And now they want to do this high and mighty horse like, oh, you can't call him a retard. No, you don't get to do that. That's the thing with these liberals. They think they have this crazy moral high ground. They were the ones celebrating Charlie Kirk getting killed. They were the ones celebrating Trump getting shot. How can they still claim the moral high ground after this? It's astounding. Only way Pierre's in-person interview should happen is in the U.S. Yeah, but I don't think Pierre's wants to travel. Pierre's demands people travel to him. He's too much of a big shot. Maybe Tucker Carlson traveled. I think Tucker Carlson did travel to him. He said he was in the UK. He's like, yeah, we just had tea and biscuits. He said I was just eating tea and biscuits, and now I'm doing this interview. Tucker Carlson had to go to the UK. That's honestly a shame if you have to go to the UK to freaking do an interview with Piers Morgan. I mean, I guess Piers Morgan's popular, but still. He's like, I had tea and crumpets, and then I'm doing this interview. It's tea time. Well, they don't have tea time anymore in London. It's all maybe they have praying hour. They have Islamic praying hour, I think. Is Lane Kiffin going to LSU? It's looking likely. Do you know the top 10 QB recruit from Nebraska going to Bama? Uh, no, I don't know about that, honestly. Why did he get fired from CNN? Piers Morgan? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure either. When we do college basketball vids, dude, it's tough. College basketball is hard because it doesn't really, there's not a viewership for it. It's more of just like a March Madness thing, I would say. Or there's a few videos you do in like January, February, but it's mainly a March thing. How many views does a Piers CS Tucker debate get? It will outdraw the Tucker number. You want Piers to debate Tucker? You know, Piers Morgan did a Jubilee where he's surrounded by the woke liberals. Piers is not even conservative. Like, what even is Piers Morgan? I think he's an independent or something. So, how are you going to go on Jubilee or whatever and be this big honcho and you're the one person against the 20 people surrounding you and you're trying to defend Republican talking points? You're not even Republican, brother. Like, what are we doing? Sorry, you meant Fuentes. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Fuentes interview will have better. I mean, maybe he'll debate Fuentes, Piers Morgan. I think Piers Morgan said he wanted to debate Fuentes and he wanted to stop his momentum. Piers Morgan, he tries to like finagle his way into all these circles and stuff, and he's like a Brit. I mean, it's I don't know, man. And he has this show that's just so annoying. I try and listen to that show, and it's just shouting and shouting and shouting and shouting and shouting. I mean, there are some funny moments, I guess, but who's the better coach, Ryan Day or Jim Tressel? Well, it depends. If Ryan Day can start winning more against Michigan, it'll be Day. But he does have the 2-4 record against Michigan. That's hard to argue for. I just updated his record. Everyone kept saying he's 1-4, 1-4, 1-4. Well, now he's actually 2-4, and he's got a home game next year, so he could at least go to 3-4 against Michigan if he wins next year. If Piers debated Tucker, you wouldn't give a fraction of a fuck. Yeah, I know. It's like, how many times do we have to see these people just, I mean, it's just oversaturation. You know, it's the same people, they say the same stuff, and they think they're these just hotshot big people. I don't want to be a hater or anything, but it's like, dude, I'm just sick of hearing about it, man. Like, it's the same thing with Piers Morgan talking to Tucker Carlson, and I just, it's not even intriguing anymore. Is there any nice beaches on Lake Erie? Not really. Lake Erie is a pretty. I know they tried a public works effort to clean it up, and maybe it's more clean now. But I haven't been to Lake Erie in a while. It's very dirty. The beaches are very dirty. They actually have a few decent beaches. They're in like Edgewater is a decent area. I know that. Other than that, I couldn't be able to. I'm not gonna be able to tell you anything. I don't know. How many liberals could you debate on Jubilee? I don't know I don't think I'd be able to debate. I don't think they would be pick me for that. Maybe they'd pick me as one of the other people, not as the main person though. To be picked as the main person, like Steven Crowder against 20 liberals, you have to have a certain level of following. I don't think Steven Crowder actually ever did that, but What is Tucker on these days? He's saying the UK shouldn't have joined the war now. Does he not know about the balance of power strategy the Brits followed? Well, let me just tell you, Tucker's been arguing that for a while, ever since the Daryl Cooper thing, and I'm not even going to get into it with Hitler and Nazi Germany and what happened to Caucasians after World War II, but that was not surprising. I mean, we're dealing with the same stuff with the situation with Russia and Ukraine, where obviously if Nazi Germany is making territorial advances within Europe, there's going to be the bigger countries within Europe that try and police that. That's just human nature. The idea that they would just let that continue to happen and fester, it's just not how it works. You're not to like avoid war, and then they try and do the whole thing. Well, it was actually Great Britain who declared war on Nazi Germany. Hitler didn't want war, and it is true. Why would Hitler want war with the UK when he's focused on the East? But I mean, that's one of the reasons that Hitler lost, because it ended up being a two-front war. So evidently it was a good decision for them. Now, you can say what happened because of World War II was very bad for the countries. But the actual World War II itself, I mean, them joining it's not really surprising. It's not like this horrible, evil thing. It's just when you're a major country on a continent and another country within that continent is taking over other countries, you're very likely to join that war against that country that's trying to take over other countries within the same continent. This is not hard to understand. And they obviously had the pact with Poland to where if they got invaded, they would fight with them or declare war on Germany. You don't get the hype with PBD at all. You watched his interview with Fuentes. He bored you out of your mind. You prefer Sean Ryan. I think Sean Ryan's also very boring, but to be fair, I haven't watched much of him. Yeah, PBD is he's obsessed. He's got a big ego, let's just say. PBD has a big ego, and he has like this weird mural, this painting of himself with like a bunch of historical figures, and he thinks he's like this big, huge entrepreneur, like multi-billionaire investor. I don't even know what his net worth is, but he has this image and this persona that he's this huge person. And I mean, yeah, I don't really watch the PBD podcast or anything like that. It's just it's all the same conservative stuff. And I know, I do slop videos sometimes, but it's just all the same. In the end, Poland became a Soviet state and suffered 50 years. They would suffer 50 years under the Germans as well. I mean, ten. Yeah, Oklahoma's gonna come back, aren't they? Boston College, 0-7 in the ACC, getting a win. Imagine Penn State chokes this and misses a bowl. Oh, Penn State's gonna choke this. Penn State. They still haven't even hired a coach. Penn State. That's just revisionist history by Tucker. The UK allied with Portugal against the Spanish, with Germany against Napoleon, with Japan against the Russians, with France. Well, what it is it's basically him trying to say, well, see, it was actually Great Britain that instigated the horrible killing of World War II because they declared war on Germany when Germany didn't want to go west. And so they were the reason that Germany took over Holland and Denmark and all the France, and But obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that when you're talking about the balance of power on within Europe. Obviously, if a country starts taking over other countries, the other countries are not going to like that very much. They're not going to really allow that. I mean, it's not surprising that there would be some type of conflict if one of the countries continues to taking over smaller countries. I mean, obviously there's nuance. It's just like Russia, Ukraine. Obviously, the NATO countries are going to be like, "Hey, we don't really like that Russia's going in and trying to you know, capture all of, or annex all of Ukraine. So we're going to give Ukraine help." I mean, is it really that surprising? Thoughts on the black guy that burned the white girl to death in Chicago? I think that's terrible. You got to stop with it. I think people need to stay away from the public transportation. And the thing is I like public transportation, but when you have the demographics and the situation and how dirty it is and the homeless problem, all these things add up and it creates dangerous encounters in major liberal cities. And so I'm not even, I do like public transportation. I like the idea of it, but it's so flimsy. It has to be upheld, and there has to be a respect by the people of the transportation. And it's just not, we're not seeing any of that in these major liberal cities. There's no respect. It's nasty. It smells bad. And if you're a young woman or a 21-year-old or something, you really shouldn't be taking public transportation at all. You should just avoid it. You should just avoid public transportation, I would say. It's just not worth it. Fed December cut back to 88% poly market. That doesn't surprise me. UDK, what to think about the girl getting burnt? Didn't she post the BLM thing? Yeah, I saw something where she posted that. I mean, whether she posted it or not, it's kind of. I mean, what does it really matter in terms of that type of crime? It's still a horrible crime against her. I mean, obviously she shouldn't be captured. The women shouldn't be captured by BLM. I think it's terrible when they support that, but I mean, it's still a terrible crime. Thoughts on the seditious six? Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna happen with them. Honestly, they probably, dude, those people, they get rewarded for going against Trump. It's a reward system within the Democratic Party. And then all the Republicans say, well, they're going to be taken down. And then nothing happens to them. I mean, are those people that retarded to where they say stuff that's going to get them in some type of a legal situation? I don't think they're that dumb. Or maybe they're daring Trump. Well, these people, they don't want feud. All the Democrats want feuds with Trump because they it's like, oh, they're dignified against Trump and they're rallying against Trump and all this. You guess, but it's a bit ironic. Elijah Schaefer situation. It's kind of a dude's kind of a weirdo, honestly. You're buying your daughter a car when she turns 16 ASAP. Can't risk her taking public transport. Yeah, you should do what you have to do to avoid your daughter in situations. You have to educate her. You've got to educate her, and there has to be a talk. Do you think Texas should get an at-large bid with their win over A&M? No, I think a bunch of stuff has to happen for them to get it. Like Oklahoma has to lose, Vanderbilt has to lose, and maybe a few other things. Do you think we will go to war with Venezuela? Not in a traditional sense. I don't think there's going to be a war with Venezuela. I think there there might be something that kind of create some type of counter revolution within Venezuela where the United States assists in it, but there's not going to be a war with Venezuela. I think that would be terrible. Like a war with Venezuela would not be good for Trump at all. It doesn't really matter how it turns out. Have her learn some forms of self-defense. Yeah, but that's not even the point of it. The point of it, you're not going to be in a situation to where you need self-defense as a young woman. There shouldn't be a situation where you need self-defense. So you have to educate them and take them out of the positions to where, I mean, you have to live your life, but there's ways to limit it, limit the chances. Matt Rule should not. Yeah, Matt Rule is not a very good coach. He got that contract, and he's. You look at Nebraska; they're not going anywhere. Thing is, Texas beat Vandy and Oklahoma. Yeah, but the problem is they have 3 losses, and those teams only have 2. Well, there's been a lot of situations where, these girls are like anti-racist or whatever, and then it ends up biting them in the ass. And it's a lot of it is just they're educated a certain way and they're educated wrong, and it ends up being a terrible situation. I mean, not always. But it can happen, and it's the thing is every major city in the United States is majority minority. So it's like no matter what public trans, I mean, I guess some cities are better depending, but it seems like a lot of the public transport is going to be, I mean, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, a lot of it's probably going to be iffy. And even if it's like a good experience, I'm sure it's dirty as shit. Why was he arrested 70 times and still on the streets? Because Democratic lawmakers and Democratic judges put him back out. Because they have a full, you know how it is. It doesn't really surprise me. I mean, it's bad, I agree. You visited NYC in 2023, drove through Manhattan traffic instead of taking transit. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I think part of the experience of NYC is the public, transportation, but it depends. I mean, you got to be like a male to do it, but because you just don't know to do it during the day, maybe. You feel like ND should be left out? No, I don't think they should be left out, man. There's no way. I can't really give you. I mean, resume wise, I guess, but everything else says they're definitely in the playoff. Which game are you most invested into? Probably Oklahoma LSU would be the most interesting one right now. These 2 games for sure. This game looks like Oregon's going to win. Yeah, you got to be honest for sure when it comes to that, like public transport and just in general, that type of stuff. Have you seen the new Predator Badlands movie? Apparently, it's pretty good. No, I haven't seen it. I saw they were making a Predator. Looks ass, the Predator movie. Yeah, the thing is, like, is it a TV show or an actual movie? You've been saying the administration should create an H-1B only for G7. Well, I think they shouldn't create any H-1Bs. I think H-1Bs are predatory by nature because those are higher end jobs that need to go to graduates. I mean, that's the issue. Like, and people kept correcting me because I was talking about like Indian immigration. They were like, well, the Indian immigrants are like the highest they get the highest salaries. Well, that's an even bigger issue. People say, well, that's a good thing because they contribute more because they get the higher salaries. How many college kids do we have that can't get jobs out of college? I mean, this is like, obviously, I think the H-1Bs have to be eliminated. Now, immigration in general, you go back to a quota system. You do something like that. But I don't even think they could do that. I'm not sure if Trump tried to do something like that, it would be even permitted. Um, Even with like this attack or whatever, if he's going to use this attack to try and do stuff. I know he said he was going to ban third world immigration. Bet on the Bills versus. I think the Bills are going to beat the Steelers. The Bills have kind of struggled. I think they get back on track. So when Trump says based on qualifications, that's the H-1B thing, so he's keeping the door open. Well, I don't think that tweet was the tweet about immigration reform. I don't think that was about H-1Bs. But to me, I think Trump is treating H-1Bs differently than just overall immigration. If I had to guess. Thoughts on deporting all third world country asylum seekers? Well, is it all people on visas or something? That's the other problem is we have like 50 million people on some type of visas, and yeah, I don't know what you do with them. It's such a mess in the overall country. Now, some states are fine, but the country itself, and that's what Trump presides within the entire country, is a mess. There's like 50 million people with visas in the country that are not citizens yet. Some of them are just here on temporary travel visas, but many of them get visas as a way to get a green card and then get citizenship. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the green card situation is completely fucked up. If people are here 20 years with green cards, that shouldn't be. They might just want to do away with that if that's true, and then they're waiting, like, because then you're basically a citizen if you're here in the country for 20 years. How many people are like that? Thoughts on basically every college using Mr. Brightside as part of their stadium tradition? Well, it's cringe if you take it from like Michigan or whatever. Michigan can do it. I think it's fine. Teams shouldn't steal it. It makes the program look weak. You shouldn't steal other people's thing. You got to create your own thing. It just looks pathetic to me. But I don't know. Michigan probably stole it from someone themselves. Is it morally okay to marry an illegal if she's hot? I mean, I mean, it depends how desperate you are, honestly. But that's more of an to me that's you're getting played. You're marrying an illegal, so what? She can fucking become a citizen with you? Fuck that. You're getting played. She's marrying you for a fucking green card. I wouldn't do that. Thoughts on Trump remigration policy? I don't know if they're going to actually be able to implement it. And also, what is it? It's a very vague thing. They're really what are the actual parameters for deporting people and remigrating them? He said, well, if anyone doesn't love the United States, I don't even know what that means. If anyone is facing immigration, they're just going to say they love the United States. So I don't know exactly how they're going to be deporting these people. I think it's there's no way. There is no way. The other issue is in the country as a whole, we're at the point to where we rely so much on immigrant labor. You're not going to be able to remigrate a lot of these people because our economy is going to, and some people may say, well, that's fine. Our economy can go in the shitter, but there's no way an administration is going to let that happen. They're going to let their economy get fucked over it. So how many people will they even be able to remigrate? That's the problem is the amount of immigration we've taken in now, we've bloated our economy to the point of where we actually need this labor and we rely on it. And if you start deporting these people, you're going to get normie like boomers and normie millennial people complaining about the economy situation. Economy's already fucked up. Yeah, but I mean, fucked up in what way? I mean, it's still like you can say it's fucked up in terms of the inflation over the past 10 years, but the stock market is still at a record high. People's 401ks are still in good spots. I mean, yeah, you could say it's fake, but people, it still shows up on sheets and stuff, and people say, well, that's, I mean, there's still people making a bunch of money. But at that point, if we were going to revoke green cards like that, it would just mess up people like you got your green card 3 years ago. So you have a green card. So what is your process? When do you get naturalization? How long do you wait until you become an actual citizen? You got your green card 3 years. That's the big deal. That's where it is. A lot of people are here and they're here for multiple years with a green card. How many people are here on visas? 50 million maybe. What's the solution to curing our economy with just American citizens instead of Latin American illegals? Well, it has to be the AI tech revolution, and AI is working the factories. And but even that, I mean, it works with us. We can do it with a small population. You can take a state like Wyoming or North Dakota, and you could run really like a socialist type thing, and it would be impressive. But it wouldn't even be socialist. It would be like the Scandinavian countries, and it would work, and you would have a very high standard of living. But with all of the people of the United States, when it gets to 350 million, and you have all these people on food stamps and generating nothing to the economy, but they get the welfare, you you know, the system just gets completely fucked up to be able to do anything like that. Like with the social programs, you look at the United States and how wealthy they are, and they don't have the universal health care or anything like that. The problem is, I think this is the main thing with like healthcare is, if you're bringing in all these immigrants, why we're going to give all these immigrants free healthcare? I think people have an issue with that. Now, if you had a country that had cohesion, I mean, it would be different. You have to wait around another 2 years. It's not as simple as people think it is. No, I agree. I've told people it's not simple. So it's 5 years. So you get a green card in the United States and wait 5 years before you can become an actual citizen while you're in the US. That's becoming a legalized citizen. And I've told people it's not simple, but we still have a crazy amount of immigrants, even though it's that type of system to where it takes like 5 years. Your teacher told you to get off of YouTube. I don't know. What is that? Some joke? I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. Mushroom Gaming, thank you for that. Do you think Vance will win in 2028 because he's got the tech oligarchs backing him? I don't know, man. It's so early for 2028. It just he's gonna get a lot of money. I agree with you there. Most people don't realize how bad mass migration has been for the country: housing, insurance, healthcare, job market. Not to mention, right? That's the problem. When you bring people into the country, the demand it's a supply and demand issue. There's more demand for jobs. There's less supply, and also, there's more of a when you have more demand, when you have more people, it's going to drive down the wage costs, the labor costs. Should we bring back internment camps for that FDR had for green card holder? Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't know. I'd have to look at everything and see how sophisticated the system is with how many people are on green cards, and I mean that would have to be all looked at. But I really don't think. How would you even go about that? You want to remigrate people with green cards? That doesn't even. People would argue just deport illegals before then. But I think Trump might be focusing on specifically all of the Afghan refugees, but I don't even think there were that many. The Afghan refugees that came over after the US left Afghanistan in 21 or 22. No, I think it was 21. Or maybe it was 22. Texas is in the playoffs no matter what. No, they're not. They're not. They're not going to make it. I mean, there's a few scenarios where they make it, but it requires teams losing, like Vanderbilt losing. But Vanderbilt looks like they're going to win, so they're going to jump Vanderbilt, who has one less loss than them. They said there were 70K Afghans. Well, I think you could probably try and deport those people. Do you ever talk about baseball? Not really, honestly, man, because I don't watch baseball as much anymore. I don't watch a lot of sports. I watch college football. That's basically it, and a little bit of NFL, and college basketball, but mainly the college sports. That's why you don't like when ICE just takes people checking their immigration hearings just because. Yeah, they basically just go into cities and say, well, if you're Latin American, we need to check your immigration stuff because you might be illegal. But I don't even know if that's how they do it. I think they have some type of suspicion on people or something. I don't know. They're just trying to deport illegals basically because they've been ordered to do it. I you'd think there'd be a better system for them to do it. Like this is the problem with letting illegals in. It's so much easier just to keep them out than letting them in and trying to deport them. I think it's just the resources that it costs. It's terrible. The amount of people you have to try and find, the amount of jobs that now all these employers are like, well, we don't have people to work. Nobody's going to work for $10. Well, you shouldn't have hired them in the first place because they shouldn't have been in the country. You could see Notre Dame getting bumped for Texas. I don't see it. I would be surprised if that happened, honestly. You could see Notre. Oh, I already read that. You think Candace Owens is too emotionally charged? She's just wants views. She's just obsessed with views, and so she'll just make up random storylines and random narratives. And are you a Browns fan? I guess. I guess I am. I mean, I'm not a big NFL fan. Is it true Ole Miss is going to drop? Well, they might drop because other teams move up. LSU makes a field goal. 13-10. Imagine they win. I think Oklahoma will score a touchdown and win 17-13. Iron Ball, I think Alabama wins. Should be a good game, though. The trans sports issue is such slop. You agree that there's way more important right wing issues like immigration on peers, immigration, but peers, outkick, etc. Obsess over it. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, but I agree. You know, in general, it's kind of ridiculous to have biological men competing with women, and that's something that we should really draw a line on as a society. I don't really focus on that stuff though, the trans stuff, because I mean, you know, Republicans are going to focus on it because it's a winning issue. But yeah, I agree. I don't really care about it. I mean, unless, but I think the society should say no, this isn't right. Even if you have, you know, hormone blockers or whatever the fuck, you still have biological advantage over, you know, females. Did you see the trans woman getting her title stripped? Yeah, I saw that. That's it. Doesn't surprise me. How come Christian McCaffrey never won the Heisman? Because Stanford was never good enough as a team. When Stanford had that really good year, Derrick Henry won it because he had like 40 touchdowns or whatever. Why do you think Trump waited until Thanksgiving to announce the throwaway? I don't think it had anything to do with Thanksgiving. It was after the Afghan shooting. That's what he used to announce it. He said, "Well, this is out of control. There's too many of these immigrants that have come in, especially from third world countries. We're going to do the ban now." It wasn't so much so about it being Thanksgiving. It was more it was right after the shooting. I don't know. Is Daniel Jones going to play? I don't think he's going to play, man. Well, BYU has to win their conference. They got to win their conference title game. Miami of Ohio versus Western Michigan. What a game. Penn State up. Penn State going to go to a bowl game possibly. 3rd and 26. What the hell? Maybe not so much. Some liberals are saying the DC incident was a false flag to bring in the ban. Yeah, I don't think it was a false flag. I mean, I guess you can say, well, that's the reason it happened, but that stuff it should have been banned already. That the immigration, we Trump really needed to. He should have done that on the fucking first day. I mean, don't we have a travel ban to a lot of the third world countries already? So I don't know how that works in terms of immigration. But if we have a travel ban, shouldn't that mean that we get no immigrants from those countries, anyways? I feel like that's what it should mean. Haynes King, the best quarterback? No, Haynes King's not the best quarterback for an NFL prospect. No. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this live stream. I'm gonna end it there. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I don't know if Troy will win. Does Pavia make the Heisman ceremony? It's looking like he could make it. It's looking like he could make it if he wins this game. See you in Valhalla. Cash Patel. Happy Thanksgiving. All right, Pepe. Happy Thanksgiving, man. All right, guys. I'll see you.